Privyet, Damy, gospoda. I am Tsar, and in today's video I'm going to be talking about what island expeditions could have been. Of course, it's always fun to look back and think, what could have been, right? It's useless, yes, but it's still fun to dream and imagine what could have been. This actually could be the motto for Battle for Azeroth. So let's get into it. Yes, these are my opinions and shouldn't be taken as law. If life were like that, you wouldn't need a Visa card. But I'm going to talk about the push I would have made for what island expeditions could have been to make them more interesting and also more mysterious. So first off, I want to apologize for the gameplay in the background. It's just me doing heroic islands, nothing special. Basically, I almost fell asleep doing it. So I would say I did a pretty good job so far. Battle for Azeroth felt like a massive change from the rest of World of Warcraft. Of course, I won't be talking about that much today, but there's one thing I saw during the reveal trailer that made me curious. Island expeditions. Of course, what we got was another farming mode in which you can grind out artifact power, which thank the Allfather they made a soft cap at 10 a week, for the massive amount of power that you could get. You could do them over and over again for RNG chances at pets, quests, mounts. You can also grind rep in these things if you happen to not get the Cultiran in time, for example, before its release. I believe, honestly, though, that they could have approached it just a little differently. See, I believe that RNG has taken over the game way too much, especially in terms of gearing your character, which is basically left up to chance, which I think is bogus. If you exerted all of your skills, you should be rewarded for it. You shouldn't be able to buy gear off the auction house that has your best corruption item and win that way. Honestly, it's ridiculous, but even island expeditions could have been done in a way, at least for mounts and pets, that I think could not have been left up to RNG. There's this kind of community in gaming. I mean, we've all heard of Call of Duty Zombies, but for years people have been Easter egg hunting, and it did make its way into WoW during Legion. But honestly, it's fun. It's fun to watch. It's fun to do these Easter eggs. So what if island expeditions were just Easter egg friendly? Instead of it being a speed run, well, you could have left that in its own mode. One mode could have been left to exploring, admiring all the cool work that they put into these islands. Of course, the quest that gives us a hint at things to come, like, for example, the Earth Warders. Who are those black dragons? What is that faction? I think in one of the Easter eggs, they could have maybe flushed this out a little bit more. Think about finding an item that starts a quest. Doesn't give you much of a hint. But honestly, they could have released a few of these to, help people start hunting. They wouldn't have to release so many islands. They could just release one or two at launch and then add them one by one later. If you complete a small Easter egg, maybe that gave you a pet or a transmog weapon. But doing the massive one or the big Easter egg, well, that would reward a mount. Yes, these steps would be found online later, but the first people to hunt these Easter eggs would have had that pride moment. Maybe even solving so many of the Easter eggs could get you a title. Or even if you were part of the first 100 or 1,000 groups can get you something, That could have all been balanced later. But the point is that island expeditions were a massive letdown to people. The potential was immense. I believe that putting Easter egg within these islands and giving people the chance to explore would have made them a much more interesting piece of content in World of Warcraft. Being able to summon up special bosses that drop the quest, or combining clues to get a pet, or, that could even be saved for the main part of the Easter egg. These are much more interesting than pull everything you can, nuke over and over again, and just cross your fingers and hope you get a pet. But I believe that having this extra mode and removing the random mount drop chance would have been so much better. You could choose the mode that you want to do. Do you want to farm pets, mounts, and also some artifact power from completing the bigger Easter eggs? Then go help your friend get some mounts after you've already done them. Want to Zerg and do it normally? There you go. You can get your weapon transmog, your quests, and your artifact power, and you can leave the mounts to that special mode. Let the player actually do something interesting, instead of making subpar content that people feel forced to do and giving you rewards based off of just a chance. Let us have fun with these modes that you make into the game. Go wild with them. Unfortunately, Blizzard decides to go wild with all the wrong things, and they kind of tiptoe through the other modes, and I don't think that's fun. They could have made them harder as well. Like, they could have had insta-death. They could have had anything in these other modes that would have made it a lot more, like heart racing. You could have done a hardcore version of them as well. And you could have made a corrupted version of one of these islands, or instead of just having 2 corrupted zones, you know, like 2 zones. Oh man, 8.3 sucked. Or better yet, you could just have one more island that made its way into 8.3 that just handles N'Zoth. Maybe there's something special or more we could have learned about N'Zoth. Maybe we would have went in there with Nozdormu, and he would have found something that's like, oh, this will protect me. But it turns out he just made a vessel for N'Zoth, and then he gets corrupted by him. They could have done stuff like that. People love the Easter egg hunting. And I think that people would have loved island expeditions had they had something like this. You know, you could have had mysteries thrown at you, storylines, hints at what's to come, things that haven't been answered yet. And, you know, we're still waiting on that Chromie scenario also, Blizzard, so, you know, hurry up and do that. You see, like, these are the things that Blizzard should be aiming for. That's why Shadowlands has me so worried when they talk about things like having a follower. I don't want a follower. If I wanted a follower, okay, I'd go play a single-player game. You know, like, this is an MMO. But that's something for a whole other video entirely. I digress. If they would have given us more variety with island expeditions, they could have been more fun. They added in heroic modes for Warfronts. Why couldn't they have added something special in for island expedition? Permadeath even would have been fun. So before I go, there's a second mode that I thought I could add. And it's just one that is just there in case you want to bypass doing normal, mythic, or PvP. Those are the 3, I think, original modes there would be. Then there'd be the exploration one that I talked about with the Easter egg. But this one would just be onslaught. Basically, it would stick you in the middle of the island and just throw enemies at you. And I don't mean like 1 or 2, then ramps up. No, I mean it just throws everything it can at you. The longer you survive, the more Azerite, so you can bypass. If you don't want to grind out your 4 islands, or I think it's 6 or 8 or whatever it may be, you can just go into that, and if you have the team, you can survive long enough, you can just grind out all of your Azerite in one go. I mean, I think that would be also another way that you could take it. Do this hardcore version. You can only do it once a week, but you could just keep grinding out endless waves that just keep, you know, that they fly at you and they get stronger and bigger and bigger and bigger quickly. So you're not meant to survive it, but you're meant to survive as long as you can to give you a big chunk into completing the weekly. So maybe instead of doing 4, I think it is, I kept saying 10 earlier. Being able to do it maybe once and survive as long as you can would have been an even better decision for people to do. Instead of doing 4, just do 1. You know, I think that those would have been the routes they should have gone. But they didn't go those routes. They didn't do anything with island expeditions, and it's a shame because they wasted so much content time, or development time, I should say, developing these islands that just people didn't care about. You could have made people care, Blizzard. Add in the hunting mode. Don't give us a time limit. Let us explore these islands. Let us, you know, take in the beauty of these islands. Let us Easter egg hunt. Let us leave when we want to. Have that as a mode. Instead of developing a game on around rush, how about you just develop a game around enjoyment? You know, I'm going to digress a little bit, but even dungeons back then used to be about exploring. They used to be about loot and the challenge with your friends, and now it's just a speed run fiasco. I'm rushing, but there's 2 things I don't want to rush. That's content for video games and relationships. All right. Okay, guys, so I'm going to wrap things up, but essentially just to recap, I wanted 2 modes added to Island Expeditions. Okay, one is an Easter egg hunt, which would give you the guaranteed mount after doing the Easter egg. You could summon up bosses for pets that they would have all the other normal modes, normal, heroic, mythic, maybe not even normal, just heroic. Maybe just Island Expeditions and then mythic Island Expeditions and then PvP ones. That would have been better. And then, of course, the Onslaught version, which would have been just you're just stranded on an island and just things are coming at you from all sides. Survive as long as you can. Those 2 modes, I believe, would have made Island Expeditions much more interesting. It would have made it feel much more enjoyable because at least you'd have more variety. Again, you could help friends with it. Your friend would be like, well, how do I get this mount? Instead of, just do 1,000 Island Expeditions and it won't drop. Okay, no, help them. Like, give us, let us do 1 and have us decide if we want to go for that. Even if it's difficult, even if it's tedious, just do it, Blizzard. Just do it. For the love of the Allfather, just do it. Anyway, that's it. I'm out. Do you guys hate my idea? Probably. Do you love it? Maybe. Let me know in the comments below. Give this video a like, share it if you can. But until next time, do svidanya.